Come on and do it. Do it. Do it till you're satisfied, whatever it is. Do it. Do it till you're satisfied.
An invariable rule of humanity is that man is his own worst enemy. Under me, this rule will change, for I will restrain man. To help carry on our important work, I want you to join the secret squadron.
What it do, InkyMann. I'm back here for you. Tuesday. Now, you remember last week. This is where we left off. Rushing, let me jump in here real quick. Now, there was a time where I was lonely enough that I wanted to get into the male escort business, right? So now this week, we're going to go ahead and continue. Let's do it. And I was doing a whole lot of research on it. And I came up on an article that was in I think it's FM magazine. And within that with the particular escort that was talking, he said that the way he did shit, he would go to a bar dressed nice, smelling good, looking like $1 million, slide up to a bar, see a single female at the bar, slide up to her, engage in some kind of conversation, ultimately offering to buy her a drink. Then as they're talking, he would get to the level of, okay, what do you do for a living? She'll say whatever. And then, of course, she's going to reciprocate, well, what do you do for a living? And he'll add mystery to it. Well, I don't know if I really want to tell you about it. I mean, it's kind of, it's not something that everybody does, leading her on to make her really thirst for the knowledge. Once she caught on to the fact that, that's what, she's really wanting to know what's going on, then he'll tell her. And he might get into adventures of what it is he does. He might explain why he's a male escort and blah, 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 blah. But there would be an interest there. And one of two things would happen. She would run with it and go ahead and use his services, or he'd promo her first so she could see how he is. And then he would say, go tell your friends, or if you want to meet again, then it's going to cost this. Or they would be turned off altogether and they just would, end mutually, whether it's just still talking and then, okay, well, I got to go, whatever the case may be. So I'm telling that story to say, what is the difference between being polyamorous and being a male escort? The money or other things?
Well, how you just detailed that whole story about the escort at the bar is pretty much almost the same exact thing, because some people are going to be interested and some people are not going to be interested, but you put the word out there, and also they might have a friend who's interested. At the end of the day, if you're not tied to the outcome, and that's the real key. So when someone rejects you, it doesn't really reflect on you that they rejected you. It just means that's not what they want. And you have to just keep it pushing from there. Okay, this person isn't interested in that. So when I go out and I meet somebody and I'm like, hey, I'm not monogamous, that's up for them at that point to be like, I'm not down with that, or hey, that's interesting, or something about your energy makes me want to even, it's not something I've tried before, but it's something about your energy makes me want to delve further. And the whole mystery thing also is the thing that I like to use too when I'm talking to women. It's like, I'll bait them with like a little comment, but I won't go any further with it until, of course, they ask to hear more. So I don't just throw out all my information. I just throw out baits, something interesting ideas or concepts that I let hang, because then you have that suspense. And that's where the mystery comes in. But again, I'm sorry about that. Your question specifically was what?
No, you actually answered it. You actually answered it. Well, to an extent, because what I was asking is the difference between what you're doing and being a male escort. And again, you did answer that.
No, I didn't answer it. You're right. It's the difference, though. You're right. An escort is asking for money. An escort is not trying to see you beyond the business transaction. Whereas in poly, obviously, I'm finding women to have lasting relationships with. You know, that's probably be a major difference there.
Okay, well now I'll say this. Now in my foray of doing it, I did do it for a hot second. I did it for like a summer. Did that shit, and I actually had a relationship with 3 different women. But as opposed to we would go and have dates and all of that, and then at the end of the date they're giving me money, there would be other things that they would give. So it was kind of like a relationship. But all right, for example, one of my clients is the reason I do eBay, because she showed me how she did it, and she had stacks of money just sitting next to her computer. She showed me how to do it, and then she gave me my first products to sell, and then it went from that point on. So in a way, I was on the borderline of what it was that you were doing as far as being polyamorous and having these 3 women, and they knew of each other, even though they didn't live in the same areas or anything. They lived in the same state. They still live in the same areas where they could bump into each other, but they were aware that that these other 2 existed. But I did get something out of it, whether it was clothing or, I got something out of it,
Yeah, well, that's where, like I've said, that's where the difference is, really. Because, I mean, of course, you could do that in a polyamorous relationship or whatever, but the dynamic that really it boils down to who you are. I mean, if you're really an escort doesn't necessarily have to be about sex. An escort is an escort.
Right.
You're spending time with this woman because they're paying to spend time with you.
Right.
Whereas in a polyamorous relationship, you're not, there might be money exchanged in the form of food and, coffee or gifts or something small that you might show as a token, that in that way, I would be the one paying, not necessarily. See, I do have a lot of, essentially you could have said could have called me an escort or gigolo or something previously, because for some reason the girls I was seeing, they always felt a need to buy me stuff. So I wasn't out there, I didn't advertise myself as a gigolo nor escort, but women just bought me stuff because they loved me or they saw something they thought I would like.
Yeah.
But that wasn't my mindset. My mindset was an escort. So what you're describing, I guess that depends on where your mind was when you were with these women, because if I'm understanding you right, their pretense was that you were an escort and that it was their duty to pay you at the end. Where in my situation, that's not the case.
Aha! So here we go again. Stopped it right there. We're gonna have another part next week because you don't seem to grasp the show. You know what I'm saying? As far as the time. So next Tuesday, tune back in. We'll be on part 3. Other than that, later.
This concludes the broadcast from World Control.
Let's pretend like this never happened.
Look, I don't like having to trust anyone because I'm always disappointed. But just once I'd like to know that I could actually trust someone. That for at least one person, everything wasn't about money or power.
Cut the